a St. Patrick's Day celebration that could put Notre Dame to shame. This was the power of those women. And as I have gone on in my life in this great city in America, Newark, New Jersey, I have beared witness to people who make a choice every single day. And this is what we have. The greatest freedom we have in our lives will always be in the present moment, what choices we make, and the principal choice we have every second, minute, hour of our day is to accept conditions as they are, or to take responsibility for changing them. This is the kind of elders I have in my community. I meet a woman who came to me to complain about garbage in our community, and my team went out there to see her street, and we found out from her neighbors that every day she would get out and sweep in front of her house. An octogenarian in her 80s. And then she would go and sweep the entire block of her house. It's an old saying by Lincoln that he who has a heart to help then has a right to complain. There's a guy that lives in a building on Elizabeth Avenue in Newark who was a retired state worker who looked outside every day and saw this lot that was overgrown with weeds and debris that drug dealers were using. And everybody else walked past it and said, somebody should do something about this. Isn't this horrible? It's this state we have in our nation that I call sedentary agitation. That we just sit back on our couches and look at the world, and we're really articulate in complaining or talking or describing how bad the situation is. We all do it. We sit on our couches, we watch MSNBC or Fox News, something gets us upset. I'm the kind of guy sometimes take off my 14s and throw it in the TV, but that doesn't solve anything. Here's a guy, a retired worker, gets his stimulus check in the mail and says, you know what, I got an idea. He goes to Home Depot in his town and right on Springfield Avenue, Newark, and he buys a lawnmower and a weed whacker, and he marches right into this lot himself and mows the lot and cleans it and bags up the refuse. His fellow residents were afraid of the first day because he accidentally bagged up some of the drug dealer's wares, and they were ripping his bags open. But you know what? He got up again the next day, swept up, went back out, cleaned a little more. Another day and another day, kept doing it. And before you know it, he transformed this lot into a beautiful lawn. And before you knew it, the drug dealers left the neighborhood and he became a hero. My office found him because he was now down the street in front of a county park. There's a fence in front of the county park and there's a little median of grass that wasn't being taken care of, and he's mowing the median. My staff goes up to him and says, who are you? Do you work for the county? No. Do you work for the city? No. What are you doing? He said, this is my land. This is our land. I see this all the time. People challenging me. How dare you get discouraged, Lord? How dare you get down about the problems? We are Americans. We drink deeply from wells of freedom and liberty that we did not dig. We lavishly from banquet tables prepared for us by our ancestors. How dare we get drunk on the wine of others' struggle and sacrifice? How dare we get dumb, fat, and happy consuming the harvest of our ancestors' work? We should metabolize our blessings and use them to fuel us to make a difference. And by the way, it should not be, and rarely is, the big moment, the big speech, the big battle. That's not what life is. Real courage is getting up in the morning, putting your pants and your shoes on, going outside, and doing what's required and expected of you as a family person, as an employee, but then doing a little bit more. Real change is seen by people who do small acts of goodness and kindness and love persistently and consistently, that over weeks and months and years, when joined with other people, add up to transformative change. This is our calling as a country. This is our story. And if we want results that other people don't get, we've got to be willing to do the work that other people don't do. It's as simple as that. You can't have outrageous results unless you're willing to do some outrageous work. You can't have extraordinary things happen without being a little extraordinary yourself. And so much of that involves joining with someone else in the spirit of our nation. American history is a perpetual testimony to the achievement of the impossible because good people join together in a vision and a commitment greater than themselves. That's what this room is about. That's what inspired me and made me feel fortunate that you all asked me to be here, because this is the secret. In my city, by pulling people together like yourselves, we thought of some pretty incredible ideas. You know, we thought there was a problem in our city, in our region. In fact, I think it's a problem in our country that we lock people up all the time. America holds the largest prison population in the globe. In fact, about 20% of the imprisoned people in the world are in America. And then these majority of them are nonviolent offenders come out of prison, and they have a host of problems. Can't get driver's licenses. They have warrants out for their arrest for parking tickets they didn't pay that while they were in prison became a failure to appear in court, and then a warrant for their arrest. All this administrative law problems. So we came together to talk about it. We had conservatives, liberals, right, left, all come together. And we said, let's think of some creative things we can do, because this is costing us way too much money. And seeing recidivism rates of 65%, this is crazy. Our collective genius can find some solutions. So we found some great ideas. We created our nation's first pro bono legal services. All the law firms in our city came together and said, you know what, young professionals, we can provide free legal services to some of these guys, help them get expungements, get their driver's license, clear up warrants. And before you knew it, the testimonies that were coming out of the professionals was incredible. I feel like I liberated entire families' economic earning potential just by helping a guy get his driver's license and clear a past warrant. It was amazing. Now we've served 1,000, 2,000 men and women coming out of prison. And it's amazing the impact it's had on our city. One of my favorite programs, is we as politicians especially, we love giving speeches where we condemn people and say, on Father's Day, fathers should raise their children. If you bring a child into this world, you should be there for them. Well, those are easy words. But we were seeing that the kids most likely to go to prison in America are children of incarcerated adults. And fathers coming out of prison, we saw that many of them were not getting back involved with their kids. They'd come out and have child support payments that had been collecting arrears and feeling a little tension going to the woman that was the mother of their children. They had trouble getting jobs and getting work, and they themselves were going back to prison at rates of 60% or more. So we actually sat down and interviewed them and said, well, what is going on here? Do you want to be great dads? They were like, yes. Well, let's create a program by bringing people together to help you. So we brought together mentor fathers, other guys. There's old saying that children are never listening to their elders, but they never fail to imitate them. I learned how to be a man from watching my dad, evidencing his behavior. And sometimes we all need a mentor if we're going to do well. So we partnered mentor dads with dads and created a fraternity. I wasn't in a fraternity in college, so I loved having this fraternity. We called it Delta Alpha Delta Sigma, dads. And what we did was we got Men's Warehouse in our community to provide suits and clothing. We've got group parenting activities. We got everybody involved in this idea of celebrating fatherhood and empowering guys from being bad dads who just wanted to be good to great dads that were setting a standard within our community. And before you knew it, we had a program that was a runaway success. We've had a program now for over 3 years. 3 years recidivism rates in New Jersey are about 60-65%. For our program, the guys that get involved in this, it's 3%, and we have a waiting list for men in prison begging us to get in. This is the genius that comes together when you all come together and put your imagination and refuse to accept what is, and to believe that we can win the impossible game. You all have power and a reservoir of strength that you're barely even dipping into. We saw it in so many ways, from crime to greening our city, that when we got good energy together with not making excuses of why it can't happen, but expanding our imagination to what could happen, and then we have a determination to do things, you can have breakthroughs. Let me end with this story, because life is not easy. And especially when you're trying to make change, physics will tell you, if you're trying to move forward, you're going to encounter resistance. And look, if that's what you want, a life without risk,